Hello, everyone, and welcome to Healthy Cooking with Bronson. Because today our guest chef is Miss Isabel Hinton. Hello, Isabel. You are in the right place here, and we are today going to talk about brunch. And this is one of my favorite things is brunch in the whole wide world. So I'm super excited about today. But first, I should tell you who we are. My name is Amy Nichols. I am the campus coordinator for the Campus for Creative Aging, a division of Region 4 Area Agency on Aging. And we partner with our friends at Bronson Health Systems. I tried to run that all together, make that all one word, to bring you these really cool, fun, healthy cooking classes because everybody needs a little more healthy food in their lives. And I truly do believe that. Now, I am actually going to turn this over to our guest chef today, Miss Isabel Hinton. Hi, Isabel. How are you?
Great, thank you.
It's over to you now.
All right, well, hi everybody. Welcome to another Healthy Cooking with Bronson. I feel like we haven't done one of these in a few weeks. I feel like it's been a while since I've set up my kitchen and everything. So I'm very excited to be back with brunch because brunch is also one of my favorite things. It's kind of perfect because all day today, all my meals are breakfast brunch type things. This morning I had a smoothie. At lunch I had some waffles and peanut butter. And for dinner I'm gonna have this. So it's a breakfast day.
Bonus
So
day, yeah.
I'm good with that because I love breakfast and I hope you guys too, which is why we're gonna do this super delicious, tasty, healthy California breakfast skillet. And while that's cooking, I am going to actually show you guys how to make a homemade green juice as well. That is perfect to drink with your brunch, meals and get-togethers as well. So without further ado, I will start showing you how to do this. So today we are going to do this California breakfast skillet, and it's really great. It's loaded with a bunch of different vegetables. It's really flavorful. So I hope that once you watch this, or if you're cooking alongside with me, that you do this as well. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to heat up my pan right here, my skillet on my heater, and I am going to add just a little bit of oil to this skillet. I'm just going to add a little bit of oil, let it heat up a bit, and then I'm going to go ahead and add some of the other ingredients. So when you're making this recipe, you want to make sure that you have a large skillet because otherwise your stuff is going to be flying out of your pan because there's quite a bit of ingredients that go in this pan. So we want to make sure that we have enough room to accommodate even cooking times for all of the different food items that are in this meal. So I'm just going to move the oil around my pan a little bit, get it nice and oiled.
Isabel, is that olive oil you're using today?
Yes, it is olive oil that I'm using. And you can use any oil that you have at home. You could even use nonstick spray if you want. But I like the olive oil because we're going to be sauteing some potato cubes. And I think the oil just brings out a really nice flavor with the potatoes. But you can use whatever you have at home. So if you have vegetable oil or canola oil or nonstick cook spray, those are all things you can use for this.
Great. As a reminder, everyone, I have been muting a couple people who are unmuted. We're going to leave you muted for a little bit till Isabel gets going. And then, so please just leave it alone when I hit mute. Thanks.
Right, so this is taking a few minutes. And I'm just curious if anybody, you could wave your hand or raise your hand if you like brunch, if that's one of your favorite meals of the day. I can't really see anybody, Amy, so I'm not sure.
Right, I'm looking at the gallery view and you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hands waving already. So
all right, that's perfect. Well, brunch is great. And the cool thing about brunch is you can just have tons of different types of food, which I think is the most fun thing about brunch is you don't have to stick with a specific, egg and toast or whatever. You can have fruits and vegetables and casseroles and eggs and toast and skillets. So my oil is starting to heat up. My pan is starting to heat up. So what I'm going to do is I am going to add my cubed potatoes into this pan. These potatoes it's just one russet potato that I scrubbed all nice and clean. And then I peeled it and cubed it. So potatoes take a few minutes to cook and to tenderize. And so what we're gonna do is once that starts to heat up, I'm gonna put the top on my pan and then we'll quickly switch gears to the juice and then we'll come back to the breakfast skillet and add the rest of the ingredients. So it's heating up right there. Amy, do you have a question for anybody that you'd like to ask while we're waiting for this to heat?
Well, I do have a question on that. So you used a russet. I assume that any other kind of potato would work. Red skin, Yukon Gold are my favorite. Whatever. I just assume that any potato would do, correct?
Definitely. Yes, for sure.
Now, could you cheat and use frozen cubed potatoes because
Potato.
I'm so lazy.
Hey, that's frozen potatoes, that's awesome. And I think I heard sweet potato, also awesome. And sweet potatoes are great for you. So that's a great thing you can add to it. Especially me, I used to not like sweet potatoes. And then I got this job and Chris, my supervisor, which some of you guys have met, turned me on to sweet potato quesadillas. And since then I have loved sweet potatoes. So it's really interesting how your taste buds change.
And honestly, I think potatoes get a bad rap for being unhealthy, but they're a really good source of potassium and vitamins. And, people are always, I can't eat potatoes because those are a carb. Well, they are a carb with some really great vitamins in it, right?
Exactly. Thank you for bringing that up, Amy. That is so true. They're high in potassium, which is really good. That keeps your muscles and your nerves and your heart all healthy. So, and a lot of us aren't getting enough potassium. So potatoes are a great way to do that.
Exactly.
All right. So my potatoes are starting to heat up a little bit. So what I'm going to do now is before I put the top on, I'm going to add a couple of more ingredients. So right here, I have some garlic powder and some paprika, just for a nice flavor kick. And so I'm just gonna go ahead and just sprinkle that kind of all over my potatoes. It makes a really nice, beautiful color. I love the taste of garlic powder. So the recipe calls for a 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder, but I might have been a little heavy-handed on that. And you can too if you like garlic.
Especially if you're using garlic powder versus garlic salt, because
Exactly.
then you're controlling the sodium and you get more flavor and less salt. And it's a beautiful thing then.
Exactly. It's perfect. It works out perfectly. All right. So I'm just going to go ahead. I'm just going to give these a little toss so I can get the garlic powder and the paprika all nice and, coated on the potatoes. Oh my gosh, it smells so good already. And it's barely even started cooking. So I'm excited.
I wish we had smell-o-vision.
I know, right? Wouldn't that be awesome?
And thank you to those of you just joining us. You are in the correct place for Healthy Cooking with Bronson. Our guest chef today is Isabel, and she is making a lovely California brunch dish for us. So we've just gotten started with some potatoes and oil and some garlic and some paprika. So you haven't missed much.
Perfect. All right. Well, welcome for those of you that just joined us. All right. So just to reiterate, I put the potatoes and the oil in the pan. I sprinkled some garlic powder and paprika on it. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to carefully add 2.5 tablespoons of water. This is going to help kind of cook and steam the potatoes once I put the top on. So I added my water. And then.
Wow. I've done that with like broccoli and things when you're stir frying it, but I've never thought to do it with potatoes.
I know. I saw this on the ingredient or on the ingredients list, and I was like, what a great idea! So I'm excited to see how this turns out.
Great.
All right, I've got my seasonings, my potatoes, my oil, and water. And now what I'm gonna do is I am just gonna put my top on. So it has to cook for about 15 minutes or so to make sure that the potatoes are nice and cooked before we start adding the rest of the stuff. So while we're letting that cook, I'm going to quickly whisk my eggs together, and then Amy will pull up the game and I can get my juice stuff ready so we can learn how to make a delicious and healthy green juice while we're waiting for the rest of these potatoes to cook. So right here, I've just got some eggs, and I am going to crack 5 eggs into a bowl. And
Isabel, can I teach you my egg trick?
Yeah, I would love that.
All right. Take 2 eggs, 1 in each hand, Gently tap together. Only one egg is going to break. Open that egg. Good job. Get another egg. Do the same thing.
Oh my gosh. That is pretty cool.
You can do this with an entire dozen, just gently tap, you don't want to kill it. I used to teach little kids how to do this because only one egg will break. And the reason for that is because every single egg is unique. It is like our fingernails. Some are thicker, some are thinner. And so only the thin egg will break till you get to the end and you're stuck having to manually beat up one egg. But isn't that fun?
Super interesting. Thank you for sharing that with me.
I've always done that. That's the way my grandmother taught me how to do the egg.
Yeah, it's actually called tensile strength. Is one egg is stronger than the other, and so the less tensile one. It does have a scientific name, but super fun for kids to do. If you have grandkids that you cook with, get out a dozen eggs and just let them crack away. They'll be so excited. They'll go through the whole dozen and only have one left when they're done. But for 98 cents or $1, it's cheap, and then you get a meal out of it. So
that's amazing.
One other thing, Amy, I always put a sheet of plastic up under my bowl so the egg drop on the plastic and not on the table.
Nice. So you keep it food safe that way, because raw eggs do have salmonella, and a few other things, but as long as you are washing your hands and all of that good stuff, you are good. If you have a little shell in there, you can go ahead and take an egg, one of the empty egg shells, and put it in close to that. They act like a little magnet, and it kind of draws that piece of shell out if you can't get it out. So,
Amy, you know my sister, are you?
Yeah.
It sounds like.
Of course I am. We were raised by the same grandma, I'm telling you.
That is super cool. What I usually do is I usually get my finger wet and I kind of get the shell out that way. It would have been a great idea to grab the shell to use as a magnet, but I already threw them in the trash can. But that is a super, really cool trick. Thank you for sharing that with me. That's awesome. All right, so I've got my eggs cracked into a bowl. I'm just gonna go ahead and add my milk, and I'm gonna whisk it together and then set it aside and wait for the rest of the potatoes to cook. And while it's just sitting there, we'll get started with the juice.
How much milk did you add in?
I added 2 tablespoons.
Oh, hang on, she just froze. I'm gonna guess that was 2 tablespoons.
Steve, will you shut up?
No, you don't remember.
I can't.
Isabel? Isabel just froze. All right, everybody. So I'm going to take her off the spotlight for a minute. That was just 2 tablespoons of milk. And I'm going to guess that she has no idea that she's not coming through. So let me just take a moment, our technical difficulties here, to text her and say, you just froze. Okay, so Jerry, I'm going to go ahead and keep you on mute, sweetheart, because I can hear some background coming from you. So we're going to do that. And all right, so just leave the button alone. Don't hit that mute button, sweetheart, and you'll be all set. And now we will just wait. So that trick about the eggs, yes, my grandma taught it to me. I learned the science about it when I was actually teaching nutrition for everyone. I taught nutrition to little kids and older adults as well. So it's a very fun one to play with. And you do know how to find out if your eggs are raw versus your eggs are cooked. You know how to spin it on a table, to take your egg and spin it on a table. If your egg is raw, it will wobble because that yolk comes and goes, doesn't stay in the center and spin around nicely. So a raw egg will wobble, so that you don't have to keep cracking eggs to know. All right, in the meantime, let's do this. I am going to go ahead with this game till we figure out what is happening with Miss Isabel. So those of you that can see, here she comes back. I just saw her. Hold on. Now I got to let her back in. Where is it? Come on, come back up. Let me let her back in. And Miss Jeanette, I'm going to put you on mute because I'm hearing some background noise there as well. And here we go with our game. So this is how well do you know your brunches? And hang on, here we go.
There we go.
There
Sorry
you
about
go.
that.
Hey, you froze. You want me to go ahead and do the brunch game? Or are you ready to cook again right now?
That is, so if you want to do brunch game, that is perfect. I'll get the juice all situated. And then once you're done with the brunch game, we can show them how to do the juice. Sorry about me freezing. My internet has been haywire all day today.
No worries. All right, I'm going to put you on mute then, and I will get to go in here and we'll say, how well do you know your brunches? So what is this egg dish called? It's called Eggs Benedict because the title is on there. I'm not sure this is going to work for me, but this is one basically a poached egg on a lovely toasted English muffin with some kind of meat underneath it. So which of these is not a coffee drink? Cortado, latte, Fredo, or Kimun? It's actually Kimun. I'm not sure what that is. We are going to ask Miss Isabel when she gets back here what that is. Horchata is actually, yeah, not a coffee drink either. That is a good answer. What is the name of this dish? Shakshuka, I never can say that. Tomato eggs, shukmusa, or eggs Florentine? Anybody think they know the answer? Shashuka.
Oh,
Yeah, it looks like it could be eggs Florentine. This is a tricky one because it's got the parsley on top, but it's actually that first answer, shashushka. I can never say it, and it is a Middle Eastern egg dish that is, I think it's Moroccan, if I remember right, or African, I'm sorry. Which country did brunch originate in? Was it Italy, Japan, the US, or England?
I pick England.
You are correct with England. That is where it started. They're big on their big English breakfasts, which actually, oddly enough, include broiled tomatoes and baked beans, which was not a normal.
Hour. That's their tea hour too.
Yes, and the tea time is the best. It's really lovely. I don't know if you've done that, but
Yep.
Little sandwiches and treats and tea, which I drink all day anyway. So, what is one popular way to eat French toast in Britain? With honey, with tomato sauce, with Vegemite, or with cinnamon?
Tomato sauce.
It is tomato sauce. You're right. Interesting. I've not had that. Has anybody ever had French toast with tomato sauce?
No.
No. I just
I can't fathom the tomato going with the French toast.
and frankly, the Vegemite's making me go "Ugh," too, but I don't know. Maybe I'm being judgy. Love these. We could do an entire class on toast, which I think someday we will. The term brunch came about when? 1969, 1922, 1895, or 1887?
1895.
1895 is right, yes. This is all avocado toast down here, and honestly, really great stuff if you like avocado. Really healthy breakfast brunch for you. You just smush your avocado and put it on some toast, and then you can add whatever you want. My kids always put a hard-boiled egg on top of their avocado toast. So if you like it, and by the way, avocados are super cheap at Aldi. Don't go buy the Meyer ones if you don't have to.
I don't know. Avocados don't ever have no taste.
Yeah, you know, you got to add a little salt and pepper to them. I got to say.
I make it in like a Mexican dip with shrimp and avocados and tomatoes and but just eating it by itself don't have no taste to me.
Yeah,
Linda, you're making me hungry. You're making me hungry, Linda.
My kids like balsamic vinegar on theirs too. So I'm not a big fan of avocados, truth be told, but Which brunch food does this definition belong to? A soft food made by boiling meal of grains or legumes in milk or water until thick.
Porridge.
Porridge, cereal. Yeah, it's porridge. And boy, they could make something that actually tastes pretty good sound terrible right there. It does not sound good. But porridge is essentially it. I had that for breakfast. Actually, I had oatmeal for breakfast. So, all righty. They're going to end that right now. We'll go back to our friend Isabel. See how she's hanging here. She's ready. I'm going to spotlight her. Ta-da.
All right. Well, that was my fault because I forgot to take the answers off of the presentation.
I didn't even look, but
Neither. I didn't even know the answer was on there.
they
Well,
were.
I knew the porridge because I had Irish. My grandfather was Irish, so I knew the porridge.
Well, the first one, wasn't called said the answer was on there. Amy.
Yeah.
I didn't realize.
I'm glad that you guys were able to learn some new things or that you already knew some of that stuff. But I thought that was really interesting. The Kimon or the Kimoon, however you pronounce that, that is actually a Chinese tea. So the other ones are the coffee, but that one was a Chinese tea. So very interesting. All right. Well, I am all ready for my fruit cooler. And the things we're going to add to this fruit cooler include cucumbers, green grapes, kiwi fruit, and limes. Now you can also add mint to this if you like the taste of mint, but I personally do not love the taste of mint in my cucumber, drinks. So that's why I am leaving that out for this one. So what I have here, what I'm going to do first is I am going to juice my limes, and I'm juicing it over this mesh strainer. That way, if there's any seeds in the lime, that way the mesh strainer can catch them rather than my seeds going into my juice drink. So I'm just going to go ahead, cut that open, and juice my lime with this really cool lime juicer that Chris actually got for me. I never had one until she got it for me, so I thought that was kind of a cool little thing. It smells.
Does the same thing, right? You stick a fork in and twist, and it will do the same thing.
But if you get the small whisk, you can do that too.
Mm-hmm. It depends on if your limes are really hard. It will.
Well, I always make sure I squeeze them out on the board first, and then do it, and it comes right out.
Yeah, you should always roll your citrus fruit out a little bit, roll it back and forth. And if it's still hard, because sometimes that happens, you can put it in the microwave for 10 or 15 seconds, and that will soften it up a little bit, because sometimes, and lemons seem to be just fine lately for me, but limes, I've had some rock hard ones lately. So I've had to do both to get any, purchase on them to get any juice out. So.
Yeah, they are really hard. I agree. The lemons have been no issue, but the limes are really, really hard. I wonder why. But that's really interesting. I didn't know about the microwave. You guys are teaching me so much today.
But Amy, I'm glad I'm in here today because of what's going on, but you weird me out because a lot of stuff you say. Man, it's stuff that I know, and it's really weird. It's weird.
Yeah, that's good. We're just sisters from another mother, Labrelia. That's all.
Okay. Awesome. All right. Well, these limes actually had no seeds in them, so that is cool. All right. So now what we're gonna do is I am going to add the kiwi. So I'm going to show you guys something really cool. Some of you might already know how to do this, but I think this is just like the coolest thing. So with a kiwi, you cut the ends off, just like a thin little part on the end. So you cut those ends off, and then you take a spoon, a nice clean spoon, and you just kind of go along the skin to get the kiwi easily out of its skin, and you don't have to worry about like peeling it in some weird way. So this is a really quick and easy thing that you can do. All right.
That's a great
It doesn't
tip.
get the brown fuzz everywhere when you're trying to cut it up and you got the little brown fuzzies and
Exactly. Exactly. So just gonna go ahead and add that in there. And I'm just gonna do the same thing on my other lime or on my other kiwi. They're also really hard too. So I had a hard time finding like ripe fruit and ripe vegetables right now. So these kiwis are pretty hard, but they'll still taste good. They're going to be blended up anyway.
I was just saying they'll blend up like just fine. If anything, it will make your drink a little bit thicker if you need it to be. But other than that, it's usually, yeah. And sometimes, isn't that funny how sometimes you can find great stuff, go on a spell and you'll get great fruits and vegetables, and then you'll be like, oh, these are terrible.
Yeah. I had it with mangoes a little while ago. It was pretty ridiculous. My mango I was super excited about because I love mangoes, and I got it and I was really excited about it, and they were like not very good. I was very disappointed.
It is. Now, that being said, you can also find sometimes frozen kiwi and like a tropical blend that I'm assuming you could substitute in something like this. It may not be all green because if you notice, she's got a color theme going on with this, but
green fruit cooler, because
Yep.
that's true. Now I'm going to add some green grapes, a cup of green grapes, 1 cucumber that is already peeled, and then I'm going to add a cup of cold water to my blender. All right. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to blend this to get the juice all nice and blended down. So Amy, if you would be able to mute me and just want to ask a question, feel free to do so, and then you don't have to hear my blender whirring. It's pretty loud.
All righty, you are now muted. All right, I love the idea of this green cooler, but is there any other green fruit or vegetable you think she should be adding to this? Feel free to unmute and tell me.
I'm trying to think. Well, did she use, what kind of cucumber did she use? Did she use the long cucumbers or?
We'll ask her. It looked like it was just a regular, standard cucumber, honestly, from the size, but maybe it was an English one, those longer ones. But if it was me, maybe a little honeydew melon, if you could find a good one, because again,
it'd be good.
we can talk about that. But we can also, she could also put a little spinach in there. Honestly, which would be.
What about a little pineapple?
Oh yeah, that would be delicious. Mm-hmm.
My caregiver get ready to take me, and she's on her way, Amy.
Okay,
take
honey.
me to pick up my stuff. So do you want me to can I just clock out at 2:30?
Yep, you just leave and go do your thing. You're good to go. All right, honey, thank you.
All right, I got the recipe though on my pad, so I can use that. Because my sister brought me a blender 2 years ago. I never used, so this would be good to use my blender.
You're gonna get it out. I like it.
I'll get it out. All right, y'all take care.
You too.
Okay, bye, Linda.
Bye-bye.
All right, so we were thinking maybe some honeydew or some spinach in there too.
Ooh, yeah.
Kind of fun. What do you think?
I think that sounds absolutely delicious. I love that idea. I should have added that to it. That'd been really good, and a nice little sweetness from the honeydew. That would be super good. Okay, so now the last step in this is you're gonna pour your blended juice through a strainer. When you pour it through the strainer, it will, and then you're gonna kind of push it in to try and extract as much juice as possible. And this is just going to, separate the pulp from the juice. Now, one thing I did want to mention is fiber is really important for us, which is why eating whole fruits and vegetables is really important. Now, you don't get fiber from juices because the fiber is actually in the pulp. And so when you're not using the pulp, it's kind of taken most of the fiber with it. So that's just kind of really interesting. But the cool thing about this is it's still loaded with tons of vitamins and minerals. So the grapes have a good dose of vitamin C. The kiwi fruit, also a good dose of vitamin C. Cucumbers, it's super refreshing and hydrating because cucumbers are basically water anyway. They're 96% water. So if you want something refreshing and hydrating, but you don't want to drink water because you're want just a little taste or something, this would be a really good way to do it. So I'm just gonna go.
Isabel, did you use just a regular cucumber or did you use the English cucumber?
I used English cucumber in this. I did a regular cucumber, but my regular cucumber was looking real not good. So it probably would have been fine, but better safe than sorry, I guess.
He was not camera ready, right?
Yeah. So I had an English cucumber in the refrigerator, so I just used the English cucumber that I had in the refrigerator, and I actually prefer the taste of English cucumbers. I really, really like the taste of English cucumbers. So, you can use whatever you have, but if you have a regular cucumber, that works. If you have an English cucumber, that works. If you have different, types of fruit, that works too.
I do too. I think they're crisper. They have a little more crunch, and they just they taste a little more like a cucumber than the hothouse grown ones, the regular standard ones, because I just think they just don't have as much oomph.
Yes, I agree 100%. I agree. I don't know, and I really love cucumbers in my salad, and so it's really nice to have the English cucumber because it has a nice crunch, it has a nice flavor. And I don't like the taste of the skin on a regular cucumber, but I don't mind it at all on an English cucumber. So it's kind of interesting how that works.
Yeah, I think it's the thickness of the skin. The reason the English cucumbers are usually in plastic is because they're a little more tender. Their skin is thinner. So there's not as much, and they can get bruised and dinged and pretty easily. So
that's really good to know. See, I'm learning all these different things today. All right, so I'm almost done with this. So you can see in my strainer, it's pretty loaded with the pulp and the fruit of the juice. Now you could probably, if you wanted to, you could probably keep this and use it as like a topping for like your pancakes or waffles. I mean, it would still taste really good. It's just gonna have a different texture to it. So I'm gonna go ahead, throw that in a bowl. I'll heat it up and make it into a sauce for waffle or pancakes. And then I'm just gonna do the rest a little bit, and then by the time that this is all done, I think we're gonna be ready to move back to our California breakfast skillet.
Back to our potatoes cooking in that skillet.
Yeah, it smells really good.
So if you missed it, we have she has potatoes and some oil, and then garlic and paprika, and then just a little bit of water to kind of steam and cook those. It was a raw russet potato, and those are pretty firm little devils, so they require a little cooking. I recently have been cheating because you're making something very similar to what I make when my kids are home, and we call it Mama's Mess. I'm sure yours is going to look a lot better, but I start with those green bags of Simply potatoes, and I start with either those little cubes or the shredded if I'm really in a hurry because they cook faster. And they're sort of partially cooked. They're not fully cooked, and then it just goes a little quicker for me. And I throw it all together and put whatever veggies in there and call it good. So
that sounds great. That sounds absolutely delicious. I know, I'm pretty excited for this. I love dump recipes. They are my absolute favorite thing. These dump recipes. Best.
And all right. My dish people really appreciate the one pan dish recipes, I have to say.
Yes, I definitely appreciate that too, for sure. All right, so my pitcher is a little bit big for, the amount of juice that we squeezed out, but I wanted to show you how beautiful this looks.
Oh my goodness, it's gorgeous.
Yes, so it'll be nice and sweet. So I'm just gonna let it chill in the refrigerator. When you make this at home, you can do however you like. If you want to eat it right away, or if you want to drink it right away, that is totally fine. But I like everything that I drink to be icy cold. And so I'm just going to go ahead and throw this in the refrigerator. And then when I'm ready to serve it, I'll probably put it in some ice, garnish it with a lime wedge, maybe a little bunch of mint just to add a really nice, pretty flair to it. So you can do that however you like.
Right. Awesome. And no sugar in there, just the fruit and the cucumber, which technically I guess is a fruit. So there we go. Anything with seeds on the inside is considered a fruit. technically, although we call them vegetables, the botanical people would argue with us that they are definitely a fruit. So
I actually had some students, I told some students that I worked with that exact fun fact, and they tried to argue with me about it. But I said, technically we eat them as vegetables. I mean, in cucumbers and tomatoes, you eat them as vegetables. So on my plate, like the tomatoes and the cucumbers and the pumpkin, those are all considered vegetables on my plate, but botanically they're fruit. So interesting scientific fact for you.
exactly.
Moving back to our California breakfast skillet. So let's take a look at it. It's smelling really good. The potatoes are looking fabulous, and they are nice and cooked in golden brown at this point. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to push my potatoes to one side of my skillet. All right. Now, the reason why I'm doing this is so when I add the eggs have like a full heat source that they can cook on. So I am going to add my eggs to the other side of the skillet. I'll probably give them one little last whisk. All right. I'm going to add those in there. All right. Turn my heat down a little bit. Okay. Then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add my onions to this as well, the same side that the eggs are on. Now, I love onions. So if you've been to our cooking classes before, Chris and I both talk about how much we love onions. So the recipe calls for 2 tablespoons of onions, but I'm going to, right here, I have about 3 tablespoons of onions. So I'm just going to go ahead, add those to the skillet, let the eggs cook a little bit, and then we're almost done.
So if I wanted those onions cooked a little bit more, there's no reason I couldn't add them to the potatoes and let them kind of cook around, right?
Exactly. That would be nice and brown and have a really good flavor to them. So especially if you like the taste of sauteed onions, adding them with the potatoes would have been a great, great flavor. So again, whatever works for you and what you enjoy the most. Now, while the eggs are starting to set, I am curious, what are your guys' favorite brunch foods? You can share, unmute, chat, however you want to do it. I'm just curious, what do you guys think?
Mine has got to be just anything with hollandaise sauce. You put hollandaise sauce on anything and I'll eat it. I don't care.
Awesome.
I don't know, because sometimes I'll fix it, like sometimes for brunch, I'll like toast bread and then put fix like a sandwich, but I'll put eggs in the sandwich with whichever, like if I use lunch meat or something like that, and put different vegetables and stuff and cut it. So, it depends.
Wow. Oh, that sounds delicious. Oh my goodness. That sounds awesome. Anybody else have a favorite brunch recipe they like?
No French toast fans out there? That one's so nice and easy, I think, and quick. I do have a recipe for overnight French toast where you just cut it all up, put it in the fridge overnight with the eggs and the milk on it, and then bake it. And then you put like nuts. Oh yeah. Oh, so Rosabelle wants like a brioche French toast, which is brioche is an egg bread and it's typically sliced pretty thick. So you get really fluffy French toast.
Oh, that sounds so good. Oh my goodness. I love that. I like blueberry French toast. I think that's probably my favorite, is kind of making like a French toast casserole and then adding blueberries to it. Chris and I did this recipe for one of the programs that we were doing, and it was thick cut bread, whole grain bread. And then we added some vanilla and some salt and some blueberries, actually a lot of blueberries, and then some pumpkin, which sounds like it would not taste very good in French toast, but it was so good. It was absolutely delicious. And we added some cinnamon and it was so good. It was so good. So if you ever get the chance.
Yeah, you find that recipe, I will happily share it out with this crowd again. because that one's delicious. I forgot that I took whole grain English muffins, and you take a package or two, I can't remember, and you cut them up, put them in a 9 by 13, scrambled eggs with lots of garlic powder and paprika and onion powder, and then Canadian bacon chopped up, soak it overnight, bake it the next day, and then just put hollandaise on sauce on top of it. It's like a cheater eggs Benedict, and
Oh,
yeah, I make
that
that for Christmas. So
that sounds absolutely delicious. You know, I had never had an eggs Benedict until a couple of years ago. And when I had it, it became one of my favorite breakfast foods. I never tried making it myself, but I would love to try it to learn how to make the eggs Benedict because I think it would be delicious. I mean, when I tried it, it was at just like a breakfast restaurant, but it was so good. Oh my
well,
word.
honestly, making the hollandaise, we call it holidays at my house, which is why I screw it up all the time, is the hardest part. But I have a recipe where you make it in the blender with melted butter, and then or your blender or your food processor, and so you don't have to watch it and have it scramble. And it's it's one of those fancy French sauces, but it's a total cheat.
Wow. That sounds great.
Maybe
Yes,
we'll do that for our next brunch class.
that sounds great. If you want to share that recipe with me, I would love that.
I can do that.
All right. So my eggs are pretty much all the way cooked. I've just been kind of dragging them across to make nice thick curds with the eggs. The tip for scrambled eggs, but you guys probably already know this, but when you're scrambling eggs, it's better to just kind of drag the eggs across with your spatula and create kind of these big curds. They're going to be fluffier than if you just continuously flip them around with your spatula and all of that. So just dragging your curds along makes really fluffy, good, beautiful eggs.
I
Okay.
tried to tell my daughter that's called beating the egg up.
Yeah.
Because she'll bring me these little bit. I'm going, what is that? Is that 2 eggs? I can't tell. And she's talking about, but yours are fluffy. I said that.
Because
I know exactly like you said. So, you know what's funny? My husband taught me how to do that.
Really?
When I first met him, he cooked. He used to work for Sara Lee, but when I first met him, he taught me how to drag, because I used to do that, take the fork and, like, do the little scramble all over. And my husband, he's the one that taught me that, no, you just take them and you just drag them across. Yeah, he's the one taught me.
Yeah, it's so good. I love that. And it doesn't, and I like it because it just, I don't know, it just has a better texture. So that's what I like about it.
Well, the kids think it tastes better because they tell the parents when they used to do daycare would come in and say they don't eat eggs at home. I mean, how you get them to eat eggs? And they say, well, hers tastes better than yours.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yep.
Oh my, isn't that great? Oh, kids are fabulous. Oh my gosh, that's so fun.
They are. All right, it's 2:45. How we doing there, Ms. Isabel? A few more?
It is almost done. The last thing we're going to add to it is we are going to add our cheese. I have just shredded Colby Jack, but you can use whatever cheese you have at home. And we're going to add the cherry tomatoes. And if you're opting to use chives, you would add chives at this moment as well. But I didn't use chives because I used extra onion. So I figured that would be a good enough flavor for me. And then all I'm going to do is toss this skillet until your cheese is all melted, nice and delicious and melted. And it's only going to take a few seconds to melt because everything is so hot right now. Go ahead, throw that. I'm just going to let those sit for a minute and turn it off because I want to top it with some avocado. So I got my avocado here and I am just going to cut the avocado down. People cut avocados different ways. Just be very careful because avocados can sometimes be a little bit scary to cut. So I'm actually going to use a smaller knife to get the inside of the avocado. And I'm just going to kind of make a little lines through the avocado, lengthwise and then widthwise. So then, right there, you've got your diced avocado, and you can just scoop it out, and it's a nice little cubes that you can use to garnish your scramble. So I'm gonna go
find an avocado that's ripe. Do you know how to do that? It's trickier.
So I don't know if this is what you're thinking, but the way that I choose an avocado if it's ripe is the stem, which is off of this one, because that's how I found out that this was ripe. You take the stem and you kind of flick it off, and you look at the color on the inside, and then when you take your thumb and gently press into the avocado, it should give to your thumb. And that is how I choose my avocados. Amy, how do you choose yours?
Same way, that stem color, if it's green underneath that stem, it is a green avocado. It'll get kind of golden color when it's just about perfect. So you want it to have a little something color to it. So that's exactly what you do. Don't squish it all over and then leave it for the next guy when it's not ripe. So, but yeah, and I was just saying I think we had lost you. We were talking about avocado. That Aldi always has some great prices. If y'all have access to an Aldi, they have really great prices on avocados and decent selection of avocados too. At one point, my kids were going through an avocado each a day. And I was like, you guys are trying to bankrupt me on avocado here, so I had to investigate Aldi, and they're great.
They are. The cheap ones, I found avocados there for like 48 cents, which I think is absolutely a great deal for avocados.
Heck
so,
yeah.
Alrighty, now I will show you guys this delicious, healthy, vegetable-loaded dish.
Oh, it looks fabulous.
Smells very good. I wish you guys could smell it. Like you said, Amy, smell-o-vision would be awesome.
No, I thought mine's not coming FedEx. That's wrong. There's something wrong with that.
Aurelia would like delivery. Is there a DoorDash or what do you call that guy? Uber Eats?
Oh my, well, that is a super easy dump recipe for you. Is anybody going to try this? I'm just curious if anybody wants to try it.
Yeah, I'm going to try it.
Awesome.
I'm going to try it.
Yeah. And it's vegetarian. You guys notice there's no meat. You don't need it in here because you've got the eggs for the protein and the cheese and the avocado as well. So you've got some great high protein, low fat items in there. And, eggs always get a bad rap. Chris talks about those a lot when she's on that, eggs are a really great source of protein and a really cheap source of protein. So
yeah. That is my favorite thing about eggs is they are so cheap. You can get, a dozen eggs for, $1 compared to, a pound of chicken that's like $8. So that eggs are a great way to get good protein while also saving a bunch of money. And, the onions, that's really good. It's super high in antioxidants, which is fabulous. Like Amy had mentioned earlier, the potatoes, high in potassium. And you've got the tomatoes, which are high in vitamin A and vitamin C. So this is just a nutrient-dense meal.
And
well, when the chicken stop delivering, I'll stop eating. That's the only way I'll stop eating eggs.
There you go. Unless you have specifically been told not to eat eggs, you should eat eggs. They are, or if you have, dietary restrictions, allergies, all that good stuff. We get it, but.
That's true, but that's for skin, the texture of your skin. Everybody keeps saying your skin looks so good. It's all the egg.
Mm-hmm. Albumin is the egg yolk sac that gets. Yeah, I can never say that word, but you know what I mean. So, all right. Does anybody have any last questions of Miss Isabel? Oh, did you want to pour that juice in a glass, Isabel, and show us what it looked like?
Yeah.
We're trying to see if anybody's got a question or a comment for Isabel while she's doing that.
I still say, see from the back, she's thinner.
She is.
I know that I'm being very green today with my green shirt and my green juice and
your avocado. You did dress for the color today.
go. Avocado. Oh, this looks beautiful. Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh, that looks
Yeah,
fabulous.
that's good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'd put a little mint on there, but I like mint. I know you don't, so.
I can drink it like that.
it's
I don't
good.
even need the ice. I mean, but it looks good.
It's very good. I have to say, the lime, you can really taste the lime. It's good. So if you like the taste of lime, it's a perfect drink for you.
Okay.
Fabulous. All right, if nobody has any more questions, Isabel, it looks delicious. We are so happy you joined us today to be our chef of the day. And on behalf of Bronson Health Systems, the Campus for Creative Aging and Region 4 Area Agency on Aging, we thank you all for joining us, and we hope that we see you at our next class, which is going to be jazzing up your veggies. So we're going to do a little jazz music, a little jazz with our veggies. I have plans for that class. That is on April 28th. So make sure you join us for that one. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, everyone. It was so good to see you guys.
And
Oh.
hey,